7 weeks into the push phase. What's up, everyone on YouTube? Thanks for tuning in. We're doing my off-season update, and today training pull at the Muscle Factory. I haven't showed you this session in a little bit, so let's jump in and we'll get rolling for the day and give you some updates along what I'm doing for this push, changes making to the plan, and some other life updates going on. All right, starting the session off with a bilateral pull down, so it's more lat focused. I've been trying to do some more bilateral work just because it's so much more efficient time-wise than doing all the single arm work. I still haven't quite dialed this one in. Really, like a vertical pull, single arm is so much better for me. You can just get more range of motion and feels a lot more natural doing it. But this one, I'm still playing around with the grip width. But either way, like from the start to about mid-range is the real focal point here. Like get the elbow all the way to the hip. Like I have my row later on that can really take care of that aspect. So doing 3 sets here. As far as my check-in, I'm at 251 pounds, which is the best look by far. And just looking at my visuals, still like conditions right on. So not much to change this week. Last week I did add in about 40 grams of carbs and a little bit of fat to my off day. So the diet pushed up to 680 grams of carbs, 330 grams of protein, and 65 grams of fat on train days. On my off days, fats are around 90 grams and carbs are around 370 grams. So that's moved up my body weight about 1.5 pounds this past week. So I don't think there's any adjustments needed based on where I'm currently at. And what was cool is this visual comparison. This was from the past 2 years. So at 212, my off season, I was trying to find like close condition. This is about 232 pounds in 2023. Fast forward to 2024 is the middle picture. I'm at 241 pounds. Then this current one, I'm at 251 pounds, 2025. So across the past off seasons, this 10-year weight increase, which substantially a lot more like chest, tricep fitness, hamstring, just that side shot really improved a lot. And all the shots, that was just one that I threw together to check out. Right, next exercise, moving on to a chest supported T-bar row in this one for 3 sets. And throughout these sessions, throughout the week, past as well, just to keep in mind like how I keep progressing these lifts is I just keep adding a low amount of load each time I hit them. That way it just kind of checks the box and ensures that if there is adaptation from the last session, I account for it. And then if I match the reps, perfect. If I can add one, I take it. Even if the reps drop, I'm okay with that because I think just if you had to like put a gauge between low and high reps with efficiency, I think low reps are a bit more efficient with, especially in the off season when fatigue, like to get the higher reps effective. And not to get off on a tangent, but some people are saying like, heavy weights is focusing on mechanical tension, while light weights is not. It's focusing on pump. And yes, you do get like more metabolic byproduct and pump doing higher reps, but you still can get very high degrees of mechanical tension because it's more about the force velocity relationship. It is what creates this stimulus for growth. And with fatigue being present with higher reps, it requires high amounts of force output by the fibers to keep contraction speeds moving. And so that's why higher reps are still effective. However, they're a lot more fatiguing and create more CNS fatigue because you have to accumulate so much metabolic byproduct to do so. But this is why I think low rep is pretty effective for the off season. And by low rep, I don't mean really going below 5, because I think that's where we're getting to not accumulating enough of those reps and tension. Like you need enough of the sets to occur to create that dosage of stimulus to grow. But there's spectrums of this. Like some people are going to do really well with low reps and some with higher reps. But again, point back to my own training is that I have been erring a little bit on the lower rep side. And by lower reps, I mean like hitting like a set of like 5 to 8 on some of these movements. then allowing some of them to go up higher, of course. But I feel like strength has been moving along across all sets and all lifts by doing so. So it's just been a bit effective. So anyway, I'm kind of dragging day. Like, sleep has not been the greatest last night. Just things on my mind, which it happens. But again, like, performance is up, so it's all good. All right, net exercise, moving to one thing we got in was a Panada row, which really like this one for a bilateral lat row. It does diverge a little bit, but not that vastly. It's also pretty nice because it has a kickstart to get the handles close to you. But yeah, I love the chest brace. Really trying to focus on, as I pull, driving the chest into the pad and also pushing the handles down into the ground. That gives like just a lot of lat involvement there. But hitting 3 sets here, man, I was doing the Rogers 3-way row, which is nice for a single arm, but man, you have to load the shit out of it to make it effective. This one I can use like half the amount of weight, so it's nice just from not having to carry so many plates around. One non-bodybuilding thing that's of interest, maybe, I've been trying to diversify myself a bit, and I picked up a digital piano keyboard to start learning to play. Interesting thing about me is that I actually played in 5th grade. I took lessons and had a little concert that I put on, and I just lost interest. I think my instructor was boring and just didn't have like the social influence around music to really keep going with it. But Renee's been learning the guitar, so I was like, oh, I could pick up something musical to do. So got a keyboard, using this playbook session for an app to learn, and that's been really cool because you'll hit keys, it'll tell you if you're hitting them right or not. So, learning something new. All right, next exercise, doing a neutral grip upper back row. Do this on the seated cable machine. So this one was taking place of the hammer strength isolateral row that I was doing. So it's a very like trap based movement. It's pretty much nearly a shrug, and the angle you lean back with doesn't load the erectors that much. So I do this session before legs, but it really doesn't impact leg training at all. And so just hit 2 sets here, being very, very focused. Another note around the piano is, I think it's important, like, bodybuilding is so limiting, to be able to pick up some hobbies and things you can do outside of bodybuilding that could not be as physical. Like, a lot of things that I want to do is like fast, loud, and takes a lot of physical capacity, and that I just can't do, right? So I would love to go like learn jiu-jitsu or something like that. I can't do that right now. I truly believe, like, to be the best in something, you're going to make a lot of sacrifices and do a lot of that thing mainly, but you can sprinkle in some other hobbies. But like, for instance, the piano is something that you could do into old age and a continued thing to develop. So I think trying to find some things that will live past bodybuilding are important while you're in bodybuilding. And I was thinking about, if bodybuilding was to end, it'd be really hard because that's so life-consuming to not have that focal point of trying to achieve to be the best. Where would fill that void? And I might go back to get a PhD. I think education, since the physical thing, I couldn't peak physically anymore. Like this is the prime age for me to do physical aspects, but the mental aspects are different. So I think going back, I was looking at programs around like close to me. There's one in physiology and pharmacology, or there's one in Austin around pharmacology and toxicity. Those could be really interesting, or doing something around human performance. Who knows? Be a Dr. John after bodybuilding. All right, next moving into a combo set of pec deck, or it's a prime reverse fly, and I pair that with a cable curl, single arm, so we call these a Bayesian curl. So prime pec deck, it's linked and loaded, so it starts heavy off the beginning, and then with the Bayesian curl, also setting the cable up to where it hits pretty close to peak tension right at the start of the lift. And this all gets into that whole like LinkedIn loaded research, but yes, you want to train at longer muscle links, but it's important to have tension at those longer muscle links. That's why like an incline dumbbell curl, you don't get a lot of tension off the beginning. However, with a Bayesian curl, cable curl, you're in that shoulder extension position, so the biceps fully linked in. However, you can set the cable up to get a lot of tension. So I go set for set, like basically superset these. It's not superset, it's not the same muscle group, but these are combo sets, paired sets. So just go back and forth between the two, doing 3 sets total. And then to finish off the session, I do a reverse curl. So just do 2 sets. And I do mine with a lot of range of motion, so I allow some shoulder flexion to occur. And what I'll do is be able to really just focus on the eccentric, letting that movement out, so you do still get some loading more mid-range throughout the movement. There's some other notes that happened this week is that I re-signed with Animal. So it's now been 8 years I've been an Animal athlete. And I will be at the Arnold Classic. So we're bringing the cage out there. It should be a tremendous event. Yeah, interesting thing also was came up with some pro card changes. So if you have an active membership and you let that lapse so you don't pay for your membership, if you do that for 3 years, you basically lose your pro status. And you have to go back to a qualifier show. Imagine like some experienced pro like going back, showing up at nationals and be like, oh shit. Which I have differences in feelings around that. Like, for instance, I'm a registered dietitian. If I don't re-up my membership after 5 years and do my continuing education, I would lose my RD and have to retake the exam. Also, I have to keep up with my yearly fees as just being a contributor to the organization. So I look at kind of like the IFBB Pro Federation kind of the same way, like, hey, you're just keeping up the organization and contributing to it. What I feel a little different about though is that losing a pro status, you know. I think, but to that regard, I think like once you're done competing as a pro, like I would want to be done. So that's why it doesn't affect me that much. Because I think about if I was like an NBA player, you had that peak time at your peak of your career, like guys don't come back after 3 years and be like, hey, I'm gonna play. Some do, but for the majority, like once you get old enough, like it's over. It's, you know, you're done, and if you're not using that within 3 years, it's likely you're not going to be at that level to probably compete anymore. Not always the case, but I still don't know how I feel, because I feel like to me, I would want to always carry that achievement with me. Like I was an IFBB pro, like I earned that status. I proved myself competing to no longer be able to say, hey, you're a pro. I still would. I wouldn't care if I had a card or not. But interesting. Hopefully they modify that to make a little more sense out of it. But anyway, guys, that's it for this this check-in, this update with all. Hope you all have a great weekend, and talk to you next time.